By now, most Mass Effect fans are gearing up for the release of Andromeda, assuming they haven't gotten a copy of the game already. After many of the trailers released, I've yet to be sold on this game's story, with IGN's video the first 12 minutes being the main turnoff. It's failed to grab my attention and suck me into this universe like the first game did, even when I put my feelings and knowledge of the trilogy aside.
Every great moment in our history began with a dream. Each bold leap forward was achieved by those willing to do anything to attain it. We are, all of us, leaving behind families, homes, the very birthplace of our species. Some for discovery, to see the unknown. Others for a new start. But today, whatever our reasons, we take the first steps toward a new future for humanity.
This introduction gives me the impression that all of humanity is leaving Earth in pursuit of whatever tickles their fancy, but together they'll be able to make their dreams come true. Well, what's my character's dream? Who is my character? Let's compare this to Mass Effect.
Well, what about Shepard? He's a spacer, lived aboard starships most of his life.
Military service runs in the family. Both his parents were in the Navy.
He saw his whole unit die on a cruise. He could have some serious emotional scars.
Every soldier has scars. Shepard's a survivor.
Is that the kind of person we want protecting the galaxy?
That's the only kind of person who can protect the galaxy.
I'll make the call.
The introduction's all about our character, their upbringing, their military service, and foreshadows what's in store for our character's future.
Today, we begin to make our dream reality.
Yeah, no. Why is this someone's dream? Even with ignoring the previous games, this scroll still raises a question as to why humanity is going to Andromeda if there's still exploring to be done in the Milky Way. Mass Effect's crawl gives a brief summary of how humans are in space and ties this into why the game's called Mass Effect, despite the game not actually being about the Mass Effect. Andromeda's title tie-in is not as flashy. Then we get some captions with some information better served to us through interacting with NPCs of the world. It's also odd that there's a time indicator when the game's been praised for not having a time mechanic with its story missions. Yes, we're nowhere in Andromeda. You just told us that through the crawl, and you're going to tell us where we're headed in a few minutes.
We made it. Deep breaths. You're gonna want to take it easy.
I've been taking it easy for 600 years.
Ryder, Scott, Recon Specialist, Pathfinder Mission Team.
Pathfinder team, eh? The ones finding us a home.
Can you make it somewhere tropical? Nice, warm ocean, summer year-round?
Hang on. So you woke up Scott before knowing who he is. Wouldn't it have been better to ask Scott to confirm his identity as an awareness test? Okay, I admit to nitpicking, but why is she asking Scott to find a planet that's summer year-round when we already know where we're headed?
The selection process saw the Andromeda Initiative evaluate thousands of potential habitable planets within the galaxy.
Scott Ryder, let's get you checked out. Look here.
After discovering an unusually high ratio of potential candidates, or golden worlds, the Helios cluster was selected as our destination. Now you are a part of the first wave of arcs arriving in Andromeda, our new home for humanity.
Why are there ads for the Andromeda Initiative running in the Stasis Medical Bay? It can't be to sell people on the program for obvious reasons. Are propaganda videos there to remind people why they're there? Oh boy.
Makes it sound so easy, doesn't it?
It's good to see the dialogue wheel is at the forefront of the player's interaction, since the dialogue options are what makes a Mass Effect game.
You're all done. Let's get you on your way. Though you may want to hang around while we revive your sister. It always helps to see a familiar face.
I don't like the sound of that.
So bam, action and conflict, and we're only 6 minutes into the game. Mass Effect's introduction took me about 16 minutes to get through before we saw any signs of conflict. The rest of the time is spent introducing us to the various members of the crew who start dropping tidbits about how our ship operates, what we're doing, who that alien we saw is, establishing a past with that alien race, establishing the significance of a Spectre, references your military history, and what's in store for the player character. At this point in Andromeda, we have no idea who anyone is. We can assume Scott knows that guy, but he's not seen after this incident. This particular footage doesn't show any interest for Scott's sister. I can only assume that he cares about her from that look on his face. There's some relationship between Cora and Scott, but who is she? Is she some sort of engineer? We got a brief explanation of what Sam is, but what's that doohickey that's about to explode? Is that a space Roomba? Is it normal to be nonchalant about having a relative being put into a coma?
Will she live?
Prognosis is good. I wouldn't worry.
Oh, well, when you say it that way. Spoiler alert to anyone who hasn't played Mass Effect. Jenkins dies on his first mission. While we, the player, have only known Jenkins from the one exchange we had, there's at least some connection there, and some feel for his personality. It would have been easy to let Kaidan die on Eden Prime, since we've only seen him talk to Joker, and we don't have as much of a feel for Kaidan as we do Jenkins. So, right out of the gate, we have the counterpart to our character out of the picture. Even if it's just temporary, and we're meant to care just because they're a sibling, not everyone has a sibling, or has a close relation to their sibling, so you can't rely on family relationships to get your audience to empathize. Even Daddy Writer doesn't question why they're not on the bridge. I would have expected at least a scripted mission to remove them out of the game. It's not like BioWare hasn't done it somewhat competently before.
First priority is stopping these outages.
Mainline power's been knocked out. We're on reserves, Captain. They won't last.
What's our position?
Unknown. We lost telemetry.
Sam, we need eyes out there.
Attempting to adjust sensor array.
Alec, please. You may be Pathfinder, but this is my ship.
Captain, the protocol's clear. In the absence of communication with the Nexus or the other arcs, we proceed to our appointed Golden World. Solid ground.
If it's even out there. Nobody said anything about running into an energy cloud, and that's just a wild guess what we hit.
So if the Pathfinder appears to have some equal authority to the ship's captain, why isn't the Pathfinder the ship's captain? In Mass Effect, we have standard military titles, so we know where the characters stand on authority. But here we just have the title Pathfinder, like it's supposed to mean something. We can only deduce what the word Pathfinder means. But what is a Pathfinder level of authority? Do they just find a planet and order people to go to it? Or do they just merely suggest? Whereas in Mass Effect, we get an explanation of what a Spectre is and what their position of power is.
Alec, I need to assess the damage. Stop the bleeding. We've got 20,000 people asleep on this ship. Let's give them a chance to wake up.
Can you blame her?
My father's got a point, though. Solid ground sounding pretty good right now.
Yeah, but...
Pretty good. Isn't good enough.
Yes, sir.
And we're instantly not supposed to like Daddy Ryder very much. Can't anyone in BioWare games have a healthy relationship with their father?
We're coming through.
My God. Is that our golden world?
That's Habitat 7. New Earth, if we're lucky. All of our long-range scans told us it was in the green zone. Perfect for human settlement.
It doesn't even look the same.
So, the crew of this ship expected to arrive at a planet after 600 years as established, and expected it to stay the same? There's aliens established in this universe already. What made them think an alien species wasn't already occupying the planet? Or another race of aliens native to Andromeda colonized it within that large time frame? What about a natural occurrence such as the planet being rendered inhospitable after taking a hit from a meteor?
We don't know how bad it is yet. Still seems like it's our best shot.
Maybe. There's just a lot on the line.
Sam?
The energy from the phenomenon is damping our senses. Planetary conditions are unknown.
We're marooned. 20,000 souls adrift at sea. And when the power runs out, and stays out, we need to know if that's safe harbor.
And if it's not?
As Pathfinder, it'll be my job to find an alternative. It's what we trained for. But if this goes well, we're already home.
Clearly, this planet's not someplace you want to be, especially if there's a space anomaly that's causing issues with your ship's power and sensors right next to it. I can see if this is just an emergency place to land, but he makes it sound like there's a possibility that it's New Earth when things look like that.
Alright, just make it quick.
Harper, the rest of the team should be awake by now. Have them spin up 2 shuttles. Planet Fallen 30.
Yes, sir.
A stubborn one, isn't he?
He cares in his own way. Enough to give him a chance.
I suppose you're right. He is our Pathfinder. If this doesn't work out, we'll need him more than ever.
Oh, just make him a coffin already. Let's compare the conflict to that of Mass Effect's. In Mass Effect, there's a signal from a planet that you're going to pick up an ancient piece of technology, the likes which have propelled every race in the galaxy, which is being under attack by an unknown enemy. On top of that, our character Shepard is being graded on his performance for entry to an elite group, which can have ramifications for humanity's place in the galaxy. And we're told why that's important. The introduction to Andromeda just tells us that humanity went to Andromeda because some people dreamt about exploring, even though the Milky Way has exploring to be had. And we're supposed to care that these people are in the predicament they're in, when we don't even know who these people are and what they want to achieve by coming to Andromeda. Ignoring the shaky premise of Mass Effect Andromeda in relation to the trilogy, the opening fails to give any sense of wonder to this universe's lore, premise, characters, or story. I can already think of different ways this introduction could have worked better. Wake both of the Ryder siblings up, have the player character wander around small parts of the ships to get their bearings, and talk to people that have been awake a little longer, and establishing relationships, most importantly the relationship between the siblings, while establishing their relationship to their father. To be fair, all of this may get resolved later. However, when the game is designed to lead with spectacle rather than with substance, it doesn't help to sell me on the game's story, which is what BioWare is known for. I don't want to come off as a hater. I want to look forward to Mass Effect Andromeda, but nothing in the game's marketing has sold me. Not even the character profiles, which is the only thing I have left to look forward to. Because despite my last video on it, yeah, I love banging weird race of people other than humans. It's one of the primary reasons why I played Inquisition at launch. The difference there is I enjoyed Dragon Age 2, and make no mistake, it is an awful game on every front. But I still wanted to know where the series was going from there. And although I was thoroughly disappointed, at least I cared based on the previous installments. And that's the issue with Andromeda because that's all it has. You can't say that this is a fresh start as a new game when the game can't even be bothered to establish new players into this universe before introducing conflict. If this game was made for the fans, well, the premise doesn't hold up if you've played any of the other games. Unless you're just willing to ignore that for some blue booty. Yes, I'll play Mass Effect Andromeda eventually for my share of purple. And maybe some worn tan, because at this point, that's all Andromeda has to offer for me. And I can get that better somewhere else on the internet without dredging through the gameplay that looks as generic as every other shooter game, exploration that looks like Inquisitions, or a story that's failed to be sold to me. And if I can enjoy it for more than its alien sexual encounters, and stand to play a second playthrough of it, then I'll praise it. But for now, I have unfinished business. Seriously, BioWare, just make a porn dating sim already.